So good afternoon to everybody. My name is Sam Sheffer, and I'm from Salvona Technologies. SalSphere Style Protector is a submicron-based technology to provide both immediately and long-lasting anti-freeze benefit. So freeze is something that you are familiar with. Anytime that you try to keep the style for the day, and then you see after a couple of hours, the hair have on their own life, and they don't retain the style. What we're trying to do here is to provide a technology that you can use in your hair care product to maintain the hair. So why do we get freeze? Let's start with this and then understand what is the solution. Why do we get freeze? The number one reason is the hair become very dry and it doesn't hold the moisture. Okay, and as a result, the cuticle of the hair, which is the upper layer of the hair, the cuticle tend to become rough instead of being smooth, and then absorb moisture, and therefore they have their own movements. That's causing the freeze. So dry hair, in addition to exposure to water. Also, damaged hair. Damage could be either damage because of excess use of styling, like heat, styling equipment, as well as some chemicals such as coloring, perming. They can also damage to a certain extent the hair, and therefore the hair tend to become frizzy. Some other people have an issue of porous hair. So porous is when the hair is able to absorb moisture, but very fast, and therefore they become wetty and show the freeze effect. So these are the issues that causing freeze. And the question is, so what do we have new to handle the freeze and maintain the style? So combat freeze. So what is people are using to combat freeze? So what the idea? The idea is to protect the hair and to keep a balanced moisture level. Why it's out of balance? It could be either because of exposure to the environment, like wind, like some chemicals in the air, of course, humidity, sun. All this can change the balance of moisture in the hair. And what else we need to do is to protect the hair from exposure. The other one, to minimize damage, of course, less of the heat coming from the styling equipment, and definitely less of the harsh chemical used on the hair. And bottom line, the other way to do it is just to use the appropriate hair care products. And that's why we are showing here some unique hair care product that you can incorporate into your product in order to increase or combat freeze. What people are using. So the most commonly material that people are using are silicone. So let's get a little bit familiar what silicones are being used and the positive, the pros, and the cons to each one. So dimethicone is one of them. It's a very good conditioning, smoothing. It's used for frizz control, detangle, to protect from high heat, and to enhance the shine. What is the cons of this? First of all, there is a buildup, which is very much not required, and it's very difficult to remove the buildup of the silicone. Then the silicone, the dimethicone, is pretty heavy on the hair, so it's weighing the hair down and the consumer losing volume. So that is not so good. Cyclometacone is another one. It's more light, has the same benefit, but in addition to all this benefit, the major cons is that it's a very temporary effect, which means it's built up, but it lasts for a shorter period of time because it's tend to evaporate, which means it's tend to get off the hair, and it may take half an hour, or maybe an hour and a half, but that's it. It doesn't provide a long-lasting effect if you want to claim 8 hours protection. Cyclopentasiloxane is another one, very light, the same benefits, but again, it has a very temporary effect. The one that we choose to encapsulate for this application is phenyltrimethicone. Has all the benefits of soothing, conditioning, enhanced shine, detangling, heat protectant also, and it also has the problem of very temporary effect, as well as it's a buildup and it's not water soluble. But we tried this kind in this experiment. We focus on phenyltrimethicone because this is the most commonly used silicone for antifreeze. And we, with the technology, want to show you that it becomes better with the technology. So what is the challenge? How we can make it better? So we identify what do we want to achieve with this technology. Number one is long-term, long-lasting benefit, at least for 1 day. So you apply it in the morning, you can be confident by the end of the day that you maintain the style. So in practical terms, in terms of chemistry, we're trying to control the volatility of silicon. At the same time, we don't want to overload with silicon, so we care about the volume, the shine, and the other features of the product. So this is it. Now, what do we offer? After you understand all the background, what people are using today, why, the pros and cons, what do we suggest? We suggest a new technology called SalSphere Style Protector. It's made out of a core and a shell, and the silicon is encapsulated inside the core. So we are talking about submicron spheres that are able to be suspended, and they contain the silicons. Silicons are encapsulated. What's unique about this, before I go into specific features, is these microspheres tend to adhere to the hair because of the special ratio of surface and volume. They are tiny spheres, so they have a huge surface compared to the volume, and the high surface allows for the hydrophobic interaction and deposition onto the hair. They're also hydrophobic, and they're also utilizing hydrophobic interaction to better stick to the hair. The second step in this is we apply heat in order to activate the release. The heat is able to soften the core. The core is lipid, soften the core and make it stick, and also start or accelerate the diffusion of the silicon. So the silicon release is controlled basically by the properties of the core of the spheres, and the core of the spheres allows for very gradual release, slow release over longer time, and this is how we intend to extend the benefit. The construction of the technology is based on a core and a shell. When inside the core, we have phenyltrimethicone, and the major wax component is ozocoride wax. Ozocoride wax is in the core. The shell is made of a cationic surfactant that is bound to the core, and this is what enables the electrostatic interaction, and it makes it very compatible, therefore, in many or most type of conditioners. Conditioners, especially the application, especially targeted toward leave-in conditioners. How do we know that it works? How do we evaluate the performance? So we use a leave-on conditioner, very much standard, and you can use any formula, probably almost any leave-on conditioner formula that you have. We applied the application, which means the technology in the base, or the ingredients without the technology in the base onto hair swatches. And we applied about 0.25 grams, and it contained anywhere up to 10% technology. So we use 2, 5, 10%. Then, after spreading it on the hair, we blow dry. We expose the hair to heat. We talk about 60, 65 degrees C, and that's enough to establish, stabilize, and activate the release. Then we allow it to stabilize, and then we expose the hair swatches to steam generated by a special portable handled unit that is very powerful, 700 watt, and it produces a lot of steam, which is water at 100 degrees C for 10 minutes. It's a long time, high amount of water and high temperature. And then we measure the effect. We compare the before to after exposure to steam. So this is the protocol that we use. What did we get? So this is what you see, the hair, curly hair. You see we have 4 different branches of each swatch. We had about 9 different swatches in this study before, which means everything is applied and blow dried to activate the release. This is how it looks like. A is the control in all cases. B is the technology tested. So we're comparing the same amount of active. A is not encapsulated and B is encapsulated. 10 minutes of steam, let it dry a little bit, and that's what we got. A, you see the curls already lost the shape a long time ago, and there is no really freeze control. However, you see in B with the technology, it's much, much better. You still have the curly hair, and they kept their shape after this exposure. The total increase is about 24%, at least in the length, but you cannot look only in the length. You have to look at the overall appearance, but we can measure only the length accurately. And based on this, we determine 25% increase or change in the control compared to the technology. So the technology definitely shows a benefit in terms of retaining the hair style. How does it all work? You have an illustration here, and you see the model of the system, the sphere and the damaged hair, and the particle is able to hang on to the cuticles because the cuticles are not smooth. So this is step number 1. Step number 2 is the heat is able to fix it onto the hair. So to review, SalSphere is entrapped on the cuticles, number 1, then the heat melts and adheres the spheres onto the hair. That's how it works. Once the once the ozocoride wax becomes soft due to the heat, now it can activate the release of the silicone. Remember, the silicone is volatile, it's tend to get diffusive, but here with the control release, we are able to extend it, and some tests are done even after 8 hours, we could see the effect. So this is what we know about SalSphere Style Protect. You can apply it, you can use it as a spray or as a lotion in all kinds of, most kind of product forms. It's very compatible as long as it's a cationic environment. So this is the major features of the technology. Now let's look at what in general encapsulation can bring you, and what specifically when we encapsulate silicon, beside you already saw the effect to retain freeze. So number 1, the control release technologies allow for a gradual release in this silicon, in this case, but anything else that you would like to release. So it's not open to get volatile or oxidized or diluted because it's retained, and the retention, the wax in this case, and the other surfactant are keeping it for prolonged release and prolonged benefits. The technology is unique because it allows for deposition. So even if you use from a rinse-off, you can you can increase significantly the amount of silicon you deposit onto the hair, specifically the hair shaft, of course. And then you deliver it from where they are needed the most, from the hair. The encapsulation helps us to reduce the buildup because we are not releasing now just the silicon. Silicon is in the capsule, and the capsule is much easier to remove than the silicon. A shampoo could we lose easily the leave-on material, the capsules. Overall, the encapsulation enables to improve the texture of the hair. The hair becomes silkier, and of course, it feels much more softer, luxurious, and light. No heavy residue. So this is why encapsulation is beneficial. And overall, SalSphere Style Protector is a new technology that locks the hairstyle and combat frizz. These tiny spheres, I'm talking about the micron to 3 micron spheres, are small enough we cannot see them without a scanning electron microscope, but they're able to stick to the hair and give us the benefit. So tiny spheres, but very high impact of these tiny spheres. The use level is anywhere between 5 and 10. We also know that with 2%, one can get some performance, but not the same that we have shown in these slides. The product is Sephora clean and China compliant.